explore new energy. New energy is here. We have talked about it at length in our previous shouds. It is here. It's an energy that was created outside of home. It was created by you. Its physics and its characteristics are distinctly different than the old vibrational energy you have been working with. It's not to say that we're going to completely eliminate vibrational energy in your life. Not at all. We're going to start integrating this thing called new energy. Quite frankly, not I, Adamus, not Tobias, not any of the ascended masters truly understand how it works. We have theories, we have ideas, especially those of us who have had more recent lifetimes here on earth. We have some general ideas of how it's going to work in your life. We're going to work with you to understand how to bring new energy in. At times, perhaps it could be challenging, confusing, because one thing we do know about new energy, it doesn't set up patterns of itself like old energy. Old energy gets into a type of rut. It tends to repeat itself over and over and over until some large outside force or stimulus pushes it out of its old pattern. That's what many of you have been going through for the last few years of your life, trying to get out of that old pattern of old energy. So you have to take some infusion coming in, created by you, but an infusion of energy to create an incident in your life, sometimes traumatic, usually traumatic, to get you out of that old pattern of old energy. New energy works quite different, and we're not sure how. Basically, you've agreed to be part of this discovery. You've agreed to be the next level of pioneer on Earth, to understand how to bring it in and what it does. You've agreed to be here to allow this new energy that you created, by the way. What's yours? It doesn't come from, it's not a gift from God like the old vibrational energy. That was Spirit's gift to you. This is your gift to yourself. It doesn't set up the same patterns. It doesn't respond the same way each time it's applied. It is potent. Whereas sometimes we know you got very frustrated with old energy. It seemed weak at times. You tried to gather more and more old energy in. You had to store old energy in the way of things like money or power or other things like that. You had to build a warehouse of old energy because sometimes it worked very slowly. It was very labored. Part of your impatience or anxiety recently has been there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a different way of doing this, and there is, and that's why you're here. That's why I'm here. We're going to explore the ways to bring it in, because right now it exists in and around you, in an area somewhere close to your human energy field, but really hasn't penetrated fully. Part of it's because the timing hasn't been right. You've been so absorbed in a lot of your issues and your processing that it hasn't been appropriate for it to come in. It would have blown a lot of circuits. You've dabbled in it a bit. We've all dabbled in it together in our nightly forays into the other dimensions. You put your finger on it just so slightly and tasted just a bit of it. But now we're going to be bringing it into our lives. One of the very important things that this group called Shambhala is going to be doing is allowing it to come in for your personal experience. And I'll ask you right now, mention to you right now, this is nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear in new energy. Sometimes there is in old vibrational energy because it contains elements of darkness, of fear, of your history, of your challenges. So sometimes you see that a wave of old energy coming into your life, and you do get a bit anxious about it because it does contain a lot of old stuff, memories, energy patterns. So obviously you'd be a little bit anxious about it coming in. New energy is in its pure state right now. It is in a very simple state of being. It's ready to come in. Where it's going to be tricky for you, even for us, is that its response and its patterns are totally different, and its potency is quite unknown.
I'm
One
excited.
simple
I have too much
word,
sugar.
disruptive.
Oh.
Totally disruptive.
Oh.
Totally disruptive. Disruptive for the planet.
Wow.
It's going to be one of those OMG kind of years.
Oh.
And it doesn't mean there has to be fear, but there will be. It doesn't mean there has to be chaos, but there will be, or violence, but there will be, or ignorance. There'll be a lot of that. It's just going to be a totally disruptive year. Everything gone bonkers.
Nice.
Upside down. No, it's actually really nice. Linda's throwing in little editorial comments over on the side here. Nice. It's actually really nice. And it's exactly where things need to be at. It can't sustain in old, boring, lame, power-oriented ways anymore. It cannot. None of you want it. Now, I know you'd like somebody to come along and sprinkle magic fairy dust all over the planet and make everything fine. It's not going to happen. It's going to be a year of disruptions, and it will cause some people to go hide their head in the sand or wherever they can hide their head. It's going to cause some people to absolutely wake up. It's going to cause gaps and chasms, and it's all actually appropriate. You know, you could say kind of that this planet entered a new age, new consciousness back in about late 1980s, somewhere in there. Some of you associate it with the harmonic convergence and the harmonic concordance, which is partly true. That was a delivery mechanism for energy. It wasn't because of an alignment that things happened. The alignment brought in energies. And they're always doing that. There's always alignments, and energies are always coming in, but so often it goes right past. People aren't ready for it. So it zooms on by. It comes back later in another form, in another time. But you could say that humans were really ready at that time for this energy as a result of consciousness. So things have been really changing a lot. You can go through and chart everything from technological changes, breakthroughs in medicine, healing, politics, everything. You start breaking it down and say, boy, things have really been changing a lot since the late 1980s. A lot of it's been aligning, setting up, getting ready, doing slight shifts and changes. Just like so often before the big earthquake, there's a series of small earthquakes. And then there's the big ones, the disruptive one that hits. You could say the same is happening right now on the planet, is everything is kind of shifted, aligned in a way that's going to bring the type of disruptions on Earth. I'm just seeing if you're awake. Bring the type of disruptive patterns to Earth that are going to be appropriate for a shift. Some people won't like it. Some people won't stay for it. Others are going to hide their heads in the sand, but it's happening. And this is not a fear thing at all. I see some of you are just about ready to type something. There's no fear whatsoever. When you move to a new house or you remodel your current house, it's kind of disruptive, but for the purpose of going to a better place, something more enjoyable. There's disruptions along the way. There's going to be this year. I'm going to ask you right now to celebrate those disruptions, globally and personally. Personally, there's going to be disruptions, but they're not going to be the kind you've been used to in the past, body issues or even emotional issues. It'll be pattern issues in your life, disruptions in the way that abundance comes to you, disruptions in the way you dream at night, disruptions in how your energy is managed. None of these are bad, so don't question yourself. Don't think that you've done something wrong. There's going to be a disruption that may cause you to suddenly get ill and have to leave wherever you're at. But it's for the whole purpose of the really consciousness, you, an aware human being. Disruptions in jobs, disruptions in family connection, all the rest of that. Could you accept right now that all these disruptions are being brought forth to you, not by anybody else, but by you, for the sake of you, for you? A lot of the systems have to get disrupted because otherwise you'd keep following them and you would get nowhere and life wouldn't change. And then you get really, really frustrated. When life just doesn't change, it's the same grind every day, the same junk going through your head, the same problems in your life. That's miserable. That's awful. But you're going to have these disruptions that changes the patterns to change your life, to make you a true master on this planet. So let's take a deep breath with that. No more questioning yourself. No more doubting all that. So much time and energy spent on that. Let's take a good deep breath with that.